Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Odyssey podcast, where me and my brother trek through cinema on a quest to find the best films ever made. And this week, we're talking about the Shawshank Redemption.
The Shawshank Redemption.
The Shawshank Redemption. You know, a lot of the executives credit the name of this movie with why it fucking bombed.
Really?
Yeah. They said the Shawshank Redemption was a horrible name for the movie. Also, apparently, it had like 15 different titles as they were working on it. And they were like...
What's the name of the book?
Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. But they were like, if we call it that, then they're going to think it's about Rita Hayworth.
It's not really about Rita Hayworth.
It's not even a little bit.
It's a little bit. But not much.
Not really.
It's about like 3% about Rita Hayworth.
Just like 3%. And then a lot of Raquel Welch.
Yes, Raquel Welch.
Much appreciated, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so...
Name that movie that they used for the poster.
3000 AD or something like that.
Okay, alright, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Because I'm fucking good at this. I'm not, actually. I do no research.
Just a very
iconic image.
Iconic image, yeah.
Yeah. We just finished watching The Shawshank Redemption, like, literally 30 seconds ago. And, we're here.
And on a new, big 60-inch TV.
Yes, we finally...
We've upgraded, we've invested.
Yeah, before we were watching this on a little, 12-inch black and white, and now we upgraded. Finally, I can see what I'm looking at. But yeah, The Shawshank Redemption, #1 iMDB films of all time.
Is it really?
There's actually a funny story as to how it got there, but I'll get into that a little later.
Well, I mean, you might as well just get into it now.
Okay, fine. Well, it's kind of a long story, but I guess I'll get into it. So, The Shawshank Redemption, on the iMDb top 250 films of all time, it's a #1.
Yeah.
It used to be The Godfather, and it was The Godfather basically from the iMDb inception to, 2008 or whatever.
Sure.
When The Dark Knight comes out.
Okay.
And The Dark Knight and all the Dark Knight fanboys wanted to put that as the #1 film because it had already gotten to it was already a pretty highly rated film.
Sure.
But because of how the review aggregate and all that stuff works, because IMDb's fucking weird, you need to have a certain amount of reviews on there and it needs to be weighted and all this other shit.
Yeah.
So they tried to pull The Godfather down and push Dark Knight up, but they couldn't push The Dark Knight to #1. But they did bomb reviews on The Godfather to pull it down.
Okay.
And it pushed Shawshank up to #1.
Because Shawshank was #2?
Yeah.
Ah,
exactly.
I see.
So it's one of those weird internet things.
Well, so that you're saying that that Shawshank Redemption was #2 on its own merits.
On its own merits. And granted, really good film.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get that out of the way? This is
really good.
Really
good. It's easily in the top 10 of the movies we've watched so far. This might even scrape my top 5.
Really? I'm a little impressed by that. I don't know if this is better than Silence of the Lambs for me.
Maybe scrape my top 5. I think it's probably better for me than Silence of the Lambs.
I don't know.
This has a lot more of the background chewed to it than Silence of the Lambs. Although I don't think the script and the acting is as good. But I think it kind of makes up for it with all the chewable themes behind it.
There is a lot of chewable themes behind this movie. Because do we have to explain this movie? Or is this raged cultural touchstone status?
We gotta explain the movie.
Okay. Because the movie revolves around Andy Dufresne and Red as their prisoners in Shawshank. Shawshank Penitentiary up in Maine. Because it's based on a Stephen King book. So obviously it's in Maine.
It's in Maine.
And
set in the 40s, by the way.
Yeah,
which I didn't... by the way, we've watched this movie before.
Yes,
a long time ago.
This was the TBS TNT movie. This
I don't know if it's the TBS TNT
No,
movie.
dude. This movie has the most airtime on TNT than any other movie.
Does it actually?
Except Mrs. Doubtfire. That's the only movie that's above it. And this has 250 hours a year.
Cool. All right. I shouldn't challenge your power level like that.
You fool. I read the IMDb trivia. But yeah, and it follows them from 1947 up to 1967.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 years of them in prison. And through that you see Andy Dufresne basically being subjected to the worst things you can in the American prison system. Him kind of understanding how he can operate inside of it, and eventually, I guess, spoilers for a 20-something-year-old movie, escaping. Through that, we also see Red, who goes from this very jaded, institutionalized prisoner to somebody who wants not only to be free, but to become like the man he was, like a human being again, and not a number that he was in the prison system for so long. And it's a very poetic movie. It's a very lovely movie. It's very well done, and it's probably in top 5 Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins performances each. This is probably like top 3 Tim Robbins.
Here, I want to talk about that real quick. Tim Robbins, what else have I seen him in? Like, I don't recognize that name at all, and I was like, he was so good in this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, he's actually in one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's Jacob's Ladder. He was also in The Player. He was also in, because honestly, stuff you've seen him in is probably a little, He was in like A Spy Who Shagged Me.
Oh, God.
He was in Mystic River.
I don't know what that is.
Anchorman?
Okay.
That was a cameo.
That was a cameo. He's in Tenacious D.
He is in Tenacious D as the stranger.
He must have been in stuff like earlier, right? Like around when Shawshank came out.
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder 1990. He was in Top Gun.
Twister.
Yeah, he was in Twister. Yeah, I think he was like the nerd in Twister. I think.
Wow, so he really hasn't been in much else. Well, to me at least.
Yeah, like honestly, Jacob's Ladder is one of my favorite movies. I think that's a fantastic like psychological thriller. It's also a huge inspiration for the Silent Hill games, which I love. He was also in The Player, which is actually like a very good film, and it's a huge just kind of middle finger to like the Hollywood studio system, and it's a really like smart and well done movie.
Oh, I see. You got a Best Actor at Cannes for that.
Yeah, and then you have Shawshank, but you know it's one of those things where he's a very good actor. He's just a very, maybe not even picky actor, but he had a window of, like, star status. And
I see.
This movie was also a financial flop. So
even though it's so good.
Oh, yeah, it was so good.
Did it, like, hit it out of the park with the critics at the time? And, like, just the audiences didn't see it?
Do you want me to ruin your day right now? Okay, so this movie comes out in 1994.
Yeah.
And some other movies we've talked about have come out in 1994, namely Forrest Gump. And Forrest Gump swept that Oscars, if you don't remember.
Well, I know Forrest Gump swept that Oscars, but
and also Pulp Fiction came out that year.
And
yeah, and also The Lion King, which outgrossed basically all these movies. What happened more or less? It got buried. It released against The Lion King.
Ooh, oh,
I believe it either released against The Lion King or against Pulp Fiction. It released against one of those two movies.
I wouldn't put it against the movie if it released opposite Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
but I would put it against the movie if it released against or opposite Lion King. Like you know, you're not gonna do hot against Disney.
It happens. And the other thing is, it was also nominated for 7 Oscars and lost every single one of them. And yeah, basically it was a victim of not only the time it came out, but also like just
so it got some critical like notice.
Oh yeah, a lot of critics really enjoyed it. They dug in on the themes of it being it's like a spiritual film. It talks about not only the human spirit, but there's definitely religious allegory in it. Of Andy Dufresne being like this kind of like Christ-like figure going through this like penance for his sins or whatever. And it's a lot of people really dig this movie. I mean, it was number 2 on the IMDb and now number 1 for a reason. People really love this movie. But it got released out of a $25 million budget. It made like 18. Really bad.
That's not good.
Not good. And honestly, it only really made any money back on home video and on television.
Yeah.
And that's like it. People really didn't dig on this movie being like this good until after the Oscars.
Yeah, way later.
And, a couple years after that. But that's kind of
So that's probably why I haven't seen Tim Robbins in anything else.
Probably. I mean, he's been in things. He's still a working actor. It's just his roles, now being a man in, like, his 60s now, have probably just narrowed down a little bit.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, this is the reason why, is because, this movie flopped and they gotta blame it on somebody.
Blame it on your leading man, not on the guy that wrote the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Wait, what?
Jonathan Demme is a screenwriter.
Wrote this?
Wrote and directed it. This is his first directorial film.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Wow.
Okay. This is his second. His first one was one of those like Roger Corman schlock horror films.
Yeah. We don't usually count those.
This was his first like people film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also, fucking Roger Corman again.
Dude, like he will be ever present. That like if it weren't for the fact
that man is immortal.
That man is he's still alive.
No,
he's
I'm
still producing movies.
No. Oh God,
I could go to his Roger Corman school and become a PA for $1 a day.
But what I mean is that like he's immortalized in film. Like he has put his stamp. It is never going away.
I feel if
he
you
is like
wanted...
the Colosseum of movies. Like
to...
eons will go by and we will still know. Oh yeah, it's Roger Corman. You know? Roger Corman influenced these things.
Okay.
This person's great granddad worked for Roger Corman.
A writer once talked about J.R.R. Tolkien as Mount Fuji, and it kind of applies to this. You know, Roger Corman's the Mount Fuji of cinema. though when you paint the skyline in Japan, you see Mount Fuji in the background, and if you don't, then you were standing upon it. Like if you talk of cinema, he's either in the background or you were talking upon his works.
Yeah,
it's a fascinating like thing, but
I think that's true about modern. It's probably true about modern cinema.
I mean,
in the background somewhere is influenced by Roger Corman.
Scorsese, Spielberg, Coppola, Lucas. The list goes on.
Because plenty of people are inspired by them, and they were inspired by Corman. So
yeah.
Law of relativity.
My editing teacher at my film school.
Don't tell me that he worked for Roger Corman.
She did, yes.
Oh my
she was
God.
an editor for Roger Corman films.
Of course she was.
And like the ones in the 90s too. Like not like the 70s ones. She was like way more recent than that.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, wait, he was still like, what? She was like,
she's
fuck yeah.
He still is.
Still is to this day. That was our Roger Corman aside. You know, I'm gonna get like a scoreboard and like start putting them up.
We're gonna hit bingo.
We're gonna hit bingo. All right. That's
a
it.
Bingo card for all of the talking points of our episodes. Reference back to Roger Corman somehow. Talk about the Oscars.
Where's the Yankee Doodle Dandy fit into all this?
Oh God, Yankee Doodle Dandy has to fit into every single episode.
I swear, that movie is like
it is now, the bar, dude.
It is the bar. You have to be that good to be on this list. Do you make me feel as nice as Yankee Doodle Dandy? If not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, get the fuck off the list.
But Shawshank Redemption. Right after we watched this, the first thing out of my mouth was, that is such a nice movie. That is like a nice, like, fine wine, like, going down. This movie is smooth. This movie is so good.
I think the reason why the movie seems so, like, nice at the end of it is because they really try and gloss over the terrible parts of prison that happened to Andy Dufresne.
You mean like the sisters and like getting the shit kicked out of him and the hole
and the hole
again and then, you know, having his only chance of being free being gadded. Yeah,
just about everything bad that could happen to Andy except for death happened to him.
Yeah, pretty much. And also that ending is just so like heartwarming and uplifting.
On the note of the ending of the movie, spoiler alert, which this is the second spoiler alert.
The movie's also over 25 years old. Sorry.
Did you think that they needed to show Red and Andy like meeting up at the end? I thought they were gonna cut at the bus.
In the novella it's based on, that's where the story ends.
Where Red's going to the border? Red's
going to the border, and the last line, I think, of the book is, I hope I can make it across the border so I can see my friend again. And then
it just ends.
That's it, yeah. But for this, I believe it was a choice by the director, Frank Darabont. He wanted it to have a more more closure, more uplifting ending. And to say it doesn't work, I think is disingenuous, because I do think it works. I think it's a very good ending. It's just one of those things where I think if you don't have it, the movie definitely has a different aftertaste.
It has like a more sour tone at the end.
I don't even know if it's a more sour tone. I think it's one of the
that's what I mean is it has a more sour tone. Like if it ends in the bus, right? Mm-hmm. It's where it's like, you know, he doesn't know if he's gonna meet him, if he's gonna cross the border. He's still living in fear.
I don't think so. I think that point, then it's us saying he's living in hope, because he's now going into the black, right? And he's like, I just hope I can do it. You know, he's leaving Maine, he's doing all this stuff, and
That's
it's like
true.
It's also a thing of the audience being like, you don't see them, but oh, you hope they do, and that's the thing. The movie's about hope and the human will and overcoming. You know.
Yeah, when you put it that way, I can see it.
I mean, the movie's also very weird to talk about.
Well, do you think it is really weird to talk about?
Maybe a little bit, mostly because when I was watching it, I think it's one of those things where sometimes I'm watching a movie and I'm like, all right, where's the flaw in this? Where's the crack in the glass? And I'm like, there's no cracks in the glass. Am I feeling? Is there any in there? And now I'm like done, and I like absorbed the movie, and I'm thinking about it. And is this like a Silence of the Lambs situation where it's objectively a perfect film, but there's just not enough?
No, there's definitely like enough under the surface of this quote unquote perfect film.
Yeah, so we put big air quotes on the
big air quotes on perfect.
Or the study films, right? Like like Silence of the Lambs, this, and I don't know, some other movies we've watched probably are the movies you study if you want to like look at good movies.
What was the other movie we put with Silence of the Lambs?
Was it All the President's Men, or
I'm not sure if it was it might have been All the President's Men.
Movies that have like that are objectively, there's nothing wrong with them, and you should study them if you want to understand like great cinema or how to make a great movie. But like it's just like that's the thing. They're great study aids, but like under the surface, it's like there's stuff there. Oh, it's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That's what it was.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yeah, that was the other one, not All the President's Men.
Yeah, where it's like the script's, basically perfect. The acting is great across the board. The cinematography is wonderful. The themes, there's some there, but it's not like Blade Runner where you can chew on it for hours. It's like,
where you could just talk about it for like forever. You know?
These are movies that are like, will have an effect on you. You will remember them as being great. You can name all the fun lines, but they're not life changing.
Yeah,
But
I think that you're not giving Shawshank enough credit here.
I
think it has a lot of good themes to talk about. I mean, even like some of the like visual themes of the movie, and like even like it's got theological themes. Like the one of the themes of the movie is the parallel between like the Christ imagery with or no, maybe not imagery, but the Christ theme with Andy Dufresne, right?
I mean, there is a Christ image at the end where he throws his arms up.
Oh yeah, where he throws his arms up.
He's T-posing in the water.
But like also like that rebirth, the resurrection, if you will, of him when he leaves the pipe, when he enters the water, he's baptized. Literally, he like makes a full dunk in the water as he leaves. Mm-hmm. There's all this imagery. He's born again.
And you can even argue of him more as a Christ-like figure, because he goes in there and he's objectively an innocent man, and he's like paying for these sins or whatever, though they're not his, or his are self-inflicted sins that he sees in himself. Really, you can look at it as he's paying for the sins of those around him. He comes in there and he betters them as he suffers.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a very like Catholic thing.
Oh, definitely.
And it even feels like, through the 20 years he's in there with all of his suffering, really, at the end of it, what he does is he gives Red the ability to finally accept his sins and go free.
How do I say it? Like, I hope I get the names right, because I haven't picked up my Bible in a couple months now. But,
couple months, that's a good Christian boy right there.
Comparatively to most people, I guess. But, and Red is his Paul, right? His last apostle, the person that goes on after him.
Yeah.
And it's like the group of people that he's with is like his apostles.
Something I realized when they're on the roof tarring, I counted those, and it's literally Andy and his 12 apostles. And it's so interesting when you transpose this like religious, like theological theme on here. Because
it's a really good theme for this movie. It's pretty thick too.
Yeah.
Because like
well, granted, anytime you go like deep or any religious themology, you get a lot of
get pretty thick.
Yeah.
It's like you can see the guards as like the Romans, and you can see the warden as like
Satan.
Well, you can see him as Satan. You can see him as, I don't remember the name of like the Roman authority at the time of Christ.
I don't know.
Pontius Pilate.
Oh, I think it was Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Pilate, yeah.
Because the Rolling Stone was Pontius Pilate's, seal his fate, right?
Yeah. Oh, it could. Well, or you could see the head of the guard as Pontius Pilate.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you could see the warden as like Judas, because he brings him in, right? But he betrays him. How do you? Maybe Thomas is Judas.
Maybe. Well, it's very interesting because it's like the Judas figure is somebody who has to betray Andy, and I feel I don't think Andy gets betrayed.
He doesn't really get betrayed, no.
I mean, it's really interesting because like this is obviously not a 1-for-1 parallel of the passions of the Christ.
It's not a 1-for-1 parallel, but I mean we can get pretty close, and I think the Warden does fit as like a Judas character, you know.
I feel he fits more as like the as Satan or like the Lord of the Runner.
He's the only person that betrays. Well, he can play multiple roles here. He is the only one that betrays Andy. He's the only one that does it, you know, with the whole like obtuse. You calling me obtuse?
Yeah. Where Andy at one point sees him as a possible ally, or even as an equal or an ally, and then he puts him in his fucking place. Yeah,
he puts too much trust, you know, too much faith in
the Warden.
It
is interesting if we're going deep on that on the themes of religious allegory within the film, because there's so much there. Like the Bible is brought up constantly, and the Warden is sets himself as a very pious man, a man of the of faith, and he is shown to be a thief, shown to take bribes, to abuse his prisoners, to kill people.
He's a murderer too.
Yeah. And it's a thing where I think the movie does have a lot to say about maybe not even like faith in like a religious context, but also like faith in like the human spirit.
Yeah.
What can man go through and still bend but not break? Because Andy goes through so much, and Red even goes through so much, and at the end of the movie, because of Andy, he hasn't broken. Brooks goes through the same thing as Red, basically. He spends 50 years in prison, and he gets out, and he breaks. His spirit was broken. He became an institutionalized man. He could not exist outside of
those four walls.
Yeah. And it's also the Brooks scene.
Oh God.
Was that the tears?
Well, no, because like I'd seen it before and I knew what was gonna happen. I'm like, man, dude, they really turned it up to 11 for this,
right?
Holy shit!
There's like 3 parts of the movie that I think are like actually just there to snap your soul in half.
Mm-hmm.
The Brooks was here, there to snap your soul in half. The ending of the film, I think that's there to try and snap your soul in half, to get that like uplifting.
No.
I think so.
Well, snap your soul in half.
It means like you might break down in tears or something. Yeah. So I think then I guess if that's the case, then the Brooks one is like the real snap your soul in half moment. I think the other one is like where like the movie's trying to like aggressively manipulate your emotions. I think that's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Because the ending, it's trying to aggressively manipulate your emotions.
Sure,
to give you a happy
to get
ending.
that like uplifting, happy feeling of, we're all gonna be okay,
Yeah, and then I think the third one, honestly, it has to be when they're on the roof drinking. For me, because it's like it's trying to make you feel, or no, it's the music. It's the music in the prison.
I don't think it's either of those.
Really?
It's Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying. And they're trying to figure out like if Andy's actually gonna kill himself.
Damn it, I hate it when you're right.
Well, also,
I hate it when you have objectively right opinions.
My opinions are always correct, and I have better hair than you.
You bastard!
But
get a haircut, hippie.
I think that's like probably like one of the standout moments of the movie, because like they're trying to line it up to where he's gonna
kill himself.
He's gonna kill himself, But also that like line that Andy tells Red has like so many meanings, because on the very surface value, it means that Andy's gonna get busy dying. What Andy really means is that he's gonna get busy living, and he hopes that Red doesn't get busy dying.
Yeah. Or even like
the third level is that it implies that Andy's gonna get busy dying, but he hopes that Red gets busy living.
Yeah, that line has a lot of, I guess, readings if we're going into it, because get busy living, get busy dying, because that's
get busy living or get busy dying.
Because that's
the or is very
the or matters. Yeah, because because that's the line that everybody takes from this movie, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the, top 100 movie quotes of all time. That's in there.
Probably.
Yeah, I actually think it is, but I don't know, I'd have to look up where it is. But get busy living or get busy dying. It's a thing where within the confines of this walls, the only autonomy you have is, do you kill yourself or do you not, right? Because they're in prison. They have no objective power to do anything on their own.
Yeah.
The only thing they can really do is,
they have control. They have control over themselves, and that's about it.
Exactly, and you can get busy living and busy work. You're just doing it.
That gives another theme to this movie: control.
Yeah,
Andy only has control in his mind. Yeah, and he talks about it in the movie too. When he talks about like music, like Mozart, right? What got him through the week in the hole. Yeah, he's like, it's in here. It's what they can't take away from you.
And the other thing, it's like he's always trying to find just a little bit of like control, or just because control and autonomy is like really a cornerstone of like your humanity, your decisions of yourself, how you control yourself, how you carry yourself, and he's trying to have some control of this prison, make it a little bit better. Yeah. Gets the library. And that's like his
first
big
he gets
feat.
the beers.
Gets the beers.
Then he gets the library.
And then he gets the money.
And then
he gets the women.
I guess Rita Hayworth way before that.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Then Marilyn Monroe, and then Raquel Welch. He's going through some killers right there.
True.
God damn.
Bangers.
I mean, objectively, I'm just saying, the three most beautiful women of cinema are in this movie. I mean, come on, how many other movies can say that? Okay, 3 of the top 10 most beautiful women in cinema.
Okay.
You give me that one?
Alright, I'll give you that one.
You give me that one?
I was like,
you're like, Jake Gyllenhaal's eyes aren't on here.
Jake Gyllenhaal's eyes are not in this movie, and Scully isn't in this movie, so I want to have it.
oh yeah, that's right. You fucking love X-Files.
Oh yeah, X-Files is great.
But yeah.
Just first couple seasons, though.
Yeah, once it starts getting arcy, it kind of falls off at the end. And once Mulder left, it was done.
Oh, that was way done.
Yeah, okay.
Beyond done.
But yes, so 1994. Heart of the X-Files is on the air.
True, actually.
Yeah. And this... it's also another thing, I guess, slide into that segue, kind of hitting the umpire on the way in, though. 1994, this movie comes out, and I kind of wanted to talk about that, right? Because prison movies were a dead genre.
I didn't know that there were a genre before this.
I mean, I think the last big budget one was like Escape from Alcatraz, starring Clint Eastwood back in like the 70s.
Oh, okay.
I think that was like the last big one before this. Mm-hmm. And since then they were B movies, or they turned into like schlocky movies in like the 80s, where it was like big-breasted women escaping the Philippine jungle prisons.
Okay.
They were those kind of movies.
Okay.
And then this comes in, and it's like this big prestige drama.
Mm-hmm.
And, audience reaction, really liked it. Critics really loved it. Comes out.
Nobody saw it.
Why do you think this movie just didn't catch fire it needed to?
It probably just released a opposite Lion King or some shit.
Randy's like, it has to be that.
It has to be that. Like, it had to have released opposite Lion King.
I mean, because the other thing, it's like, this is also the year Forrest Gump comes out, right? And this is better than Forrest Gump. Yeah, I would say this is better.
Yeah, this is better than Forrest Gump. It's probably easily better than Forrest Gump.
Yeah, and...
the more we just talk about this movie, the more it's like inching its way up my ladder, It's like...
Yeah, it's just like, man, Roger Deakins cinematography, fucking Tim Robbins showing out, Morgan Freeman and
this was Roger Deakins as well.
Yeah, this is the Roger Deakins cinematography. You gotta get behind him, dude, alright? And it's just such a fascinating thing to me that this movie was a bomb.
Well, so you're trying to imply that this is... part of the reason that this bombed is because it's a prison-themed movie, right?
Yeah, and those were, like, not very big.
Not popular.
It
probably
also had a very
strange where you're like, I don't really want to watch a movie about a bunch of criminals.
I mean, maybe. And also the thing where it has a title that people just said that it was difficult to, like, pass along.
It's got a lot of syllables, and, like, Shawshank isn't really, like...
a word.
Yeah, a word, like, you're like, I don't know, it's like something redeem or redemption? I don't know.
Fucking, I think it was Tim Robbins when he was in an interview, he was talking about that. He's like, yeah, some fans came up to me and when the movie came out, and he said, I loved you in that movie. Oh, it was like the Shawshank Redemption, something like that. And the movie had come out like a week ago.
Yeah.
So they had to have seen it like not that long, and he like bumped into him, and he's like, how did you already forget the name of the... Oh, we've made a huge mistake.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But to round back around to the
real movie. Yeah.
No, well, to the prison themes of this movie, this movie has a lot to say about prisons.
Prisons suck.
Well, mostly prisons suck, and there's a lot of crime that goes on in prisons.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of those, like, YouTube people that talk about, like, oh, I was in prison, and this is how shit goes down, right? And there's, like, some people I see on, like, podcasts who are like, oh, yeah, I was in jail, and they talk about it. And it runs the gambit. Either it was, it was boring as shit, I read all the time, and I just counted days, and that was my prison stay. Or, yeah, it sucked, I got a lot of good coke, though. And got a lot of good cocaine in prison? What? Yeah. It runs that gambit. And this movie, is this even an accurate portrayal of, like, a prison? I mean, it's probably not that far-fetched.
Yeah, it's not that far-fetched. I mean, the only things that probably far-fetched is, how many people the Captain Guard murders, or the Captain of the Guard murders.
Yeah.
That's probably a little far-fetched.
Pretty openly and kind of blatantly.
Yeah. I mean, well, this is the 40s.
40s, 50s.
All these people are serving life sentences. Who really cares?
And also Andy being able to tunnel through what was that? 20 feet of like shitty concrete, and the only thing keeping it hidden was a single poster.
There's like 3 posters
over the course of like 30 years or 20 years.
Well, Andy probably made damn sure to keep those things fucking nice.
Yes, yeah. I mean, granted, that's...
like, can I get some fucking wax or some shit? Fucking make the poster like a fucking ½ inch thick.
Fucking, he would frame it up on there, I swear. I mean, that... Because, I mean, some people have brought this up where it's like, oh, the plot holes of the movie. Oh, if the warden ever opened up the Bible, oh, he would have found the rock hammer and it would have been over. Or if the, poster ever fell, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's not even, like, a real argument of the quality of the film, because they're not plot holes. They're just, like, convenient things, I guess, to pick at.
Yeah, they're more just, like, conveniences that are just, like, they happen to work out.
It's a fucking movie. Get along on the ride.
Mm-hmm. Well, the warden, like... he opened the Bible.
He did, and like the first, all the way up to Exodus. Also, of course, the rock hammer is in Exodus.
Fuck, goddamn! Of course, it's in. God damn it!
You okay, Randy?
Now there's another allegory of fucking Andy Dufresne being Moses and Red being the Israelites.
Yeah, and then that puts the warden as the Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, who's the true villain of this? Is it the warden or is it the Captain of the Guard?
I mean, I feel the warden.
Be the warden.
It's
right?
the warden. Yeah, no, the Captain of the Guard.
Is just like
he's the muscle. I mean, he's the intimidating presence. He's the one that kills people. But he's a tool for the warden to command.
Now, would you say that the warden is the more thoughtful character, and the Captain of the Guard is more just like a presence? Just like a force of nature.
I mean, I feel like well, the Captain of the Guard, he's played by Clancy Brown, also known as Mr. Krabs, and
great actor,
fantastic actor. Also, like, he is also in Highlander. He's the Kurgan, and he's fucking great.
Is he really?
Oh yeah, he's also Lex Luthor in the Justice League cartoons.
Wow, dude, yeah. Clancy Brown's fucking all over the place.
Oh yeah,
this man's shooting nothing but net.
Yeah, no, dude, Clancy Brown's a great actor. He's awesome.
This is like if you read the first half of Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography,
and you're just like, this is fantastic. Then you read like the next like 20 years, and you're like, he's just hitting bangers after bangers, and then
we don't get into that.
We don't get into the whole Maid saga, but
I won't get into that.
Yeah, but. That's just, like, the thing. I feel Clancy Brown's the as the head of the guard, he's more of like a force of nature that's being directed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a thing where he's, a force of nature, and when he's not being directed, he's just a whirlwind of destruction,
Yeah.
He beats the shit out of people.
He's also just, like, ever present. You always feel like he's around. I always feel like every guard that's in the background is him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so true. And also how all the prisoners, even, like, when they're talking amongst themselves, you can always tell, like, one of the, apostles, we'll call them, in the background is always kind of, like, glancing over his shoulder. It always feels like they're being watched, which they are. It's a fucking prison.
It always feels like they're not just being watched by the guards. They're being watched by him, by Clancy Brown.
Yes. And it's also when Andy says something to Clancy Brown, being like, "Do you trust your wife?" Yada yada, and he's ready to just throw him off a fucking like 5-story building.
Yeah.
And it's like his fuse is that short,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes him so much scarier.
Yeah, because he has no repercussions.
Yeah. He can get away with literally anything, and all the other guards are like, "You do you, Cap."
You do you, Cap, man. I'm not gonna say shit, or else I'm going off the roof next.
Yep. And then you have, the warden who, I really feel like he is the omnipotent presence beyond Clancy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And because every time he's on screen, he feels like so slimy.
Yeah.
Even when he's like trying to be, nice or whatever, like he's trying to have like just a nice dialogue, he feels so slimy. Everything he says just has like, you're gonna sell me a bad car.
You are selling me a bad car. I'm getting a bad loan. Why am I here? What is the name of this place again?
Is this Hotel California? Because I feel like I can't leave.
Oh god.
And that's the thing,
You know he's gonna sell you a bad car, but you bought it anyway.
Yeah. That's the warden. He's the greatest bad car salesman in cinema. But the movie is just so engaging just beyond that, because we talked a little bit on the characters, right? Andy, Red, Warden, but even beyond that, the movie also looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's shot really well.
Yeah,
really well.
For being a movie that's set primarily indoors in a prison where you would figure it would look, kind of dingy,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe the production design wouldn't, hit every mark, but like you feel not only, the camera works well, but the production design works well, and you can tell the movie's aging as you're going along. You feel the passage of time, and I felt
like they aged up the Andy really well, actually. Like just the touch of gray.
Yeah.
Once it's like the 10-year mark, and then he's got like the full like almost full on white at the 20-year mark.
Yeah, and then you start noticing he starts wearing glasses. You start noticing like the crow's feet coming on with the makeup, and that's the thing. It's so subtle.
Yeah, it's so well done.
Yeah.
Which I feel like age makeup is something that's like, it's like a lost craft nowadays.
Oh god, yes.
Because everybody's just like, just CGI and it looks like shit.
and the other thing is like, there's some actors where if you put them in old age makeup, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
It's like Paul Rudd. Like, because Paul Rudd's looked the exact same for 30 years because he's a vampire.
Yes.
It's like...
Same thing with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Or even actors like Robert Downey Jr. Like, there's only so much old age makeup you can put onto them before it starts looking...
Until you just say, fuck it, and just completely transform them into somebody else.
Exactly, right? Where this, it's like super subtle... And, like, the other thing is, like, Morgan Freeman, I know he's an older actor at this point, right? I actually am not 100% sure how old he is in this. I'm probably guessing around, like, his mid to late 40s, maybe 50s. And he takes old age makeup so well.
Oh, so well.
Like, because it's...
Also, I wonder who they got to play, or to have as that, like, photo of him when he's young.
That's actually his son.
Oh, it's his son?
It's Morgan Freeman's son... who I think it was his youngest son or something like that, or it might have been like it was one of his sons. He got him to take the picture, and that's him. Also, he has a cameo in the movie. He's one of the voices yelling "fresh fish."
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. Also, he is. I'm gonna put a lot of alsos here. He's also the fingerprint analysis guy in Seven, another Morgan Freeman movie. Nepotism at its finest.
Shut.
Yeah, no. He's actually a good character actor. It's fine.
I mean,
hey, it works.
Hey.
But yeah, but that's the thing, like, and also Tim Robbins takes that old age makeup so well.
Really well.
And that's a credit to, like, obviously the makeup department and, you know, in actors' faces, because you've heard about this, right? Where 90% of direction is just casting, and then yeah. But the other thing is, a lot of casting is just the face, the look. Because
Tim Robbins has the look for the character he's playing.
He does. He looks like somebody who would be this really cold, kind of quiet, to himself guy.
Real methodical,
always in his head, and every time he opens his mouth, it just has a little bit of weight to it, because just looking at him, he looks like a guy who just, when he says something, it's because he fucking means it.
Yeah, he only says things he needs to say. And
then you have Morgan Freeman, who always looks like everything he's saying should be in a documentary, and it should be revered. Hey, dude, 90% of the reason he was cast was because of his voice.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows. Like, it's just common knowledge that Morgan Freeman has an amazing voice. And, I mean, the guy narrated March of the Penguins, for God's sakes.
Yes! And guess getting into the politics here. You know, originally they wanted, like Paul Newman or Robert Redford or, you know, Bruce Willis. They wanted, like, these specific actors, right?
Yeah.
You notice how all the people I listed were white dudes?
Uh-huh.
Because in the book, Red is an Irish guy.
Yeah.
And then...
they make the reference in the movie where he's like, I guess I'm Irish.
Exactly. That's actually why it's in the movie. It's kind of a wink nod to people who read the book. But Jonathan Demme was like... No, I think Frank Darabont. Did I say Jonathan Demme? Ah, son of a bitch. But yeah, Frank Darabont, because he directed this movie.
Oh, okay.
He was like, Morgan Freeman, that guy is Red. And he's the only person I ever saw being Red when I read the book. And Stephen King was like, what?
Stephen King is like, did you skip over the part where I described how the man looks?
I feel you've missed something, Mr. Darabont. But it's such great casting.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so good.
It also you could kind of see it as like a theme where, at least like up in Maine at around this time, like on the inside, it matters less what you are.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm not sure is reflected on reality in current times, but I mean, maybe in Maine around that time, I could see it.
I mean, it's the other thing where...
Also, Red has made himself useful.
Yes.
To the people around him.
Yes. That is, that's like the first hint that people on these prison YouTube channels I watch say, if you're going to prison and you're going to be there for a stretch, find a hustle. Whatever it is. You become good at drawing, be funny, or like learn something you can get. If you can even get candy in routinely, that's a hustle that'll get you by.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, we kind of see with Red what that kind of does. You know, he has this hustle. He becomes the guy that can get you things. You know, he can find things for you. But it also puts him far more institutionalized in the prison because now he's a cog in the machine. And it's both a pro for him, making his life easier, and, you know, he becomes, you know, the guy, the popular guy. But it also makes him, like, it makes him so he starts having trouble even imagining himself on the outside.
Yeah.
And that's a whole thing about this movie is, you know, the longer you're locked away, the harder it is to leave.
Because Red's made a literal career out of this.
Yeah.
Literal career, a 20 or what, 30 year?
40.
40? Oh yeah, I guess at the end of the movie, yeah, a 40-year-long career. I mean, most people retire on 40-year-long careers.
And he ain't getting a gold watch at the end of this.
Hell nah.
That's the other thing with Brooks, right? Where it's like, you know, I feel so bad. Because, like, Brooks
it's a heart-wrenching scene.
Yeah, but the other thing is, Brooks 50 years in, and you're thinking about this, and granted, I'm trying to transpose a fictional film onto reality, but you gotta feel bad for those guys who, you know, went in at, like, 20, and they get out at 70. You know, and it's like, yeah, granted, they serve their time or whatever, but you think about it, it's like, bruh, like, some of these guys, they don't...
Hey, when they say life sentence, they fucking mean it.
They do mean it. I watched a documentary, and it was of this prison in I think it was like Detroit or something.
Uh-huh.
And it was this guy, and he was like, me and my friend, we broke into a lady's house and we were stealing money to go like buy bikes, and she ran out and I freaked out and we killed her, right? And he went in at 13. He's like 35 now, and he still has, I think, another like 20 years, something like that. So he's getting out basically in his mid 50s or 60s, right? And he's like, I have no idea how to drive a car. He's like, I've never kissed a girl, because he went in fucking 13. And he's like, I legitimately have no idea what I'm going to do when I get out. And that's, granted, he's like, that's why he reads and studies so much, because when he gets out, he wants to, go to college and education. But I'm like, dude, that's fucked. That's real fucked.
Hey,
yeah,
don't kill people.
Don't kill people.
Don't go to jail.
You know what? Helpful hint from the Film Odyssey podcast. Don't go to jail.
Don't go to jail.
Don't go to jail. Avoid your own Shawshank Redemption. But you shouldn't avoid this movie, because this movie's damn fine.
The movie's fucking great.
So where do you want to jump on now? There's so much.
I don't know. There's a lot of things to jump on from here. Oh, how do you like those retroactive explanation type scenes, like where we
the big reveal?
Yeah, where we see how
Andy.
I've already can't remember his name.
That's why I lost the Oscars, Randy. It split through their fingers.
How Andy does the switcheroo with the books, with the switcheroo with the suit and the shoes. Yeah,
and then it's the big reveal. I think because we've seen that before in The Sixth Sense, and in The Sixth Sense it's done wonderfully. Because it just explains everything about the movie, and you don't really need it for the movie to be good. In this, it's kind of the same thing. Really good reveal. You don't really need it for the movie to be good, and it's also a thing where it just explains his whole escape plan.
Yeah.
And it puts more context on the rest of the film, right? And it also makes scenes that you go back to rewatch have way more tension in them. When they're flipping the cell for the first time.
When he's holding the
Bible. It adds tension to scenes that didn't have tension before, and that's great. It makes the movie very rewatchable.
I feel like you already know where the rock hammer is.
Yeah.
Because they flip his cell, they don't find it, and there's this whole thing with the warden holding the Bible. He never opens it past the first page, and he hands it back kind of strangely. I feel like you already know. It's the fucking rock hammer is it's in the fucking book. Open the book. It's in the fucking book.
What's in the box? That's the other thing. So the movie also, would you say it's predictable?
Okay, but the thing is that I've seen it before, so it's hard for me to give an objective opinion on this.
Yeah, and the movies also may have reached that cult status or that pulp culture status where you could know the movie without actually having to see it.
Maybe. I'm not on the level of the twist in Sixth Sense.
No, not even close.
I don't think so. Knowing that he escapes, yeah.
Yeah, it's the cover of the fucking box.
Yeah, the cover of the fucking box is him outside.
Yeah. I mean, looking at I think it might be a thing where it's a prison movie. 90% of prison movies are prison escape movies.
Yes.
So somebody's gonna escape, Andy's gonna escape, and now you're just waiting to see, okay, how is it gonna play out? And then we don't see him openly doing it.
Yeah.
We just see little hints of it, but it's not really explained until that reveal at the end.
I mean, I think in the first 15 minutes of the movie, you're he's gonna escape. The motherfucker wants a rock hammer.
Yeah. Right. Well, honestly, and then you got the coin flippers. Is he gonna use that to fucking kill Boggs? That's not gonna happen.
Oh, true.
Yeah. And I think the real great thing in the movie is it's a little predictable because you kind of know the ending basically from the jump.
Yeah.
But the great part about the movie is you don't care because it's so engaging on the way through. The drama is very palatable. The acting is good. You care about Andy and Red and this friendship they build. Also, the other thing. People have called this the chick flick for dudes because it's just a movie for dudes to just get emotional at, man. It's just two bros just chilling in prison, just getting out. It's about freedom, man. It's about bros. Yeah. In a totally platonic way.
Totally platonic.
Totally platonic. They weren't doing anything weird in the cells.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. look, Andy, I haven't seen a woman in 30 years.
Now, maybe not in the prison, but definitely down in Mexico.
Oh man, it's life
what
happens.
was excluded from the last scene in Mexico? Where's the fucking hotel? I see a boat. Where's the fucking hotel?
I mean, bro, like, no, the objective of that was to look at the fucking ocean.
True.
Also, I've been to the Pacific Ocean. It ain't that blue. Might be that blue in Mexico.
A secluded beach in Mexico, Dean?
Look, Kino.
Kino.
Secluded beach in Mexico. I ain't seen a car for 10 miles. Granted, the cocaine fields are about like 6 blocks that way, but fuck it.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
We literally won't talk about that.
We won't talk about that. And also, I love how easy it is for these two guys to just be like, man, thank God it's the 60s. I just went 2 towns over, changed my name. I'm gone. I'm out of society. I've disappeared.
Dude, fucking Andy is so lucky that it's in like the fucking like 50s when he sets up his social security and all his birth certificate, all that shit. He's so fucking lucky, dude.
He waited. If he got out in like the mid 70s, it's done. The minute barcodes become a thing, it's over.
It's over for him. It's fucking gone.
Yeah, and you know something crazy? Because like I watched that and I'm like, you can't get an ID like that. That's so dumb. And I mentioned it to, our dad, I don't know, like years ago. And he looked at me, he's like, Dean, my mother, your grandmother, ordered her license in the mail. She sent 35 cents in and she got a driver's license. She didn't have to actually drive a car. She just ordered one. I'm like, wait, what? It was that easy?
Bro, in the fucking teens, you could order a Tommy gun in the mail, motherfucker. In the mail. Tommy gun with ammunition to your doorstep. Automatic, by the way. There was no pussy shit back then, dude. You could get it fucking mailed to your door for $200. Now, I'm just saying, a Model T was like $240, so you're asking a motherfucker to spend $200 on a gun instead of $200 plus $40 extra on a fucking car.
With inflation, that gotta be close to like 10 grand, right?
Tommy guns were retardedly expensive.
It's like actually, no, like how much is a new car today? God, like what, like 50, 80 grand for like something cheap?
I think like you can get like for like a shitty car new, you could probably swing like 20, 25 grand.
So Tommy gun was like 15, 20 grand.
Yeah. I think adjusted for inflation, it's like probably somewhere around there. Yeah, it was retardedly expensive. And during World War II, that company raked the U.S. government over the coals, dude.
Oh yeah, it did.
I know we're on a huge tangent here, but I actually have some knowledge on this subject. Oh yeah, the U.S. government hated that company because those guns were so fucking expensive.
I remember you told me this, like, the first models that came out were like velvet inlay, and they were like the nicest gun you could buy.
They were like the steel was always blued, and it was like these things were like masterpieces. And when the U.S. government first started ordering them, they came to them as masterpieces. Like all the wood stocks were hand whittled and fucking everything. These things were immaculate. And the U.S. government, we got into the war, and the U.S. government's like, hey, we need some more of these things. Could you cheapen? I mean, they were trying to cut as many corners. This is why we got the grease gun, the gun that cost like 45 cents to make.
That was fucking true, because it was all stamped metal.
It's all stamped bullshit. And that is literally the reason why the grease gun, I think the grease gun cost them like 3 cents a gun or something like that.
Are you serious?
Like, that's the reason it was called the grease gun. It looked like a bottle of grease, or like one of those little squirt bottles of grease, and it cost them nothing. The U.S. government hated buying Tommy guns so much because they were A, super fucking expensive, and B, they couldn't get the company to stop charging them so much for them, that they made the grease gun to be like, fuck you, Thompson, I'm not buying any more of your bullshit.
And Rainey almost had the vapors when he saw the Thompson in this movie. With the
yeah, it's like a old school model. Like, it's like, it is period accurate, like this is what they would have had. It looked good, and it kind of I'm not sure if it had a compensator on it, but it did remind me of the BAR compensator and how that thing sounds like God slamming his car door many times a second.
Bro, like, honestly, everybody, if you really want to get, Randy started on a good conversation, talking about World War II guns, that shit is like bread and butter.
Just talk to me about anything that I've seen on Forgotten Weapons. By the way, God. Shout out to Forgotten Weapons, you the homie.
Oh yeah, fucking Gun Jesus, right here.
Speaking of Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, in this movie.
Yes.
Andy Dufresne. Okay. Andy Dufresne.
One thing I want to talk about real quick before you get into that. I heckin' love it when people quote the Bible in movies, when they're like having that like face off. Him and the warden in the
cell. What's your favorite passage?
Mm-hmm. And they start quoting shit back to them that's like super like juicy with themes. Oh,
Randy,
that gets my shit going.
No,
dude.
no. You want to know what really got your shit going? Like the shit that creamed your jeans when fucking Hannibal Lecter quoted Marcus Aurelius.
Oh yeah, that one was good.
When he's like, "Oh, that was the fine wine. That was the aged wine."
That was good. I need to read more of these books though, so that when people quote them without like actually saying, like Hannibal Lecter said Marcus Aurelius, right? Like he made sure everybody knew
how well read he was.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be so much better when somebody like says something in a movie. I'm like, I know where that's from. It's from this book from like the 1400s.
Oh god!
I'm just like, that's Machiavelli.
well, you're the fucking philosophy nerd, right? Like that was the reason you were so balls deep on Blade Runner, because that was like all the philosophy shit you were reading at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't really reading so much about like the large metaphysics stuff at that point, but like everything's based off of that, like everything has that it's got Mount Fuji in the background,
Yeah.
It's like everything is based off the what does it mean to live your life, what is a good life, all that stuff.
Yeah,
because that's like one of the earliest things we have is like how does one live a good life, that's what like Plato's Republic, like one of the oldest and most important philosophical works ever, is all about how to live the good life. And, in this movie, Andy tries to live the good life as well as he can while in prison.
Yeah.
He tries to better the people around him and himself.
Andy as a Christ figure. I know we've kind of started the conversation with this, but like I want to kind of round it back in with this. So Andy as a Christ figure.
It's lovely mortar for the movie.
It so is, because you build all your theming on top of it, and it just works out. But thing is, he's a Christ figure, but is he a flawed character? Because you hear that in a lot of times, the best characters are flawed characters, where they have a vital thing that's wrong with them and they overcome throughout the movie. Does he have any real flaw other than his own kind of like self-guilt for the crime that he didn't even commit? I feel his guilt really stems from the fact he drove his wife again.
Close to committing it though.
It's true.
It was real fucking close.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Do you feel his guilt being this self-inflicted, atonement for driving his wife into the arms of another man? Is that really his flaw? Him having this sort of like self-persecution for this?
Trying to think like if he has any other flaws, like
I mean, well, the other thing is Red's really the main character of the movie, and he has flaws.
Red is the main character of the movie, and he does have some flaws. I'm thinking maybe you could maybe say that Andy's like in it for himself too much.
You think so?
Yeah, because he doesn't do anything to help the prison after he's gone.
True.
To help like anybody other than Red after and he doesn't even help Red after he's gone.
He gives him the ability to, as the Bible says, God loves those who help themselves. He gives him the ability to help himself to make the final leap.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like the thing that a lot of like Christian-y doctrine say, or people say, where we can only take you, or God can only take you so far. You have to make it the rest of the way yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's goes back into Andy being that
eventually you have to make the leap of faith,
and that's Red crossing the border. That's his leap of faith.
I think the leap of faith happens before that. His leap of faith is when he's talking to the parole officers.
You think so? I feel that scene which is great, because that's Morgan Freeman's Oscar clip, right?
True, yeah, probably. But I'm just feeling like he could have said the same thing he always says.
Mm.
But because of Andy no longer being there, he takes that leap of faith and just kind of lays it out to the parole officers instead of giving him the same run-of-the-mill thing he says every time.
I don't even know if that's... I can see that interpretation, but let me lay this one down for you. When I look at that, it's Red had always come in there giving his like stock speech or whatever, and I feel that was because he was looking to be like, I feel bad about this, but what I ultimately want is to be out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, I think that's when he finally has that realization where I don't care if I'm in here or out of here. Honestly, I feel so guilty about this. And it's finally when he fully accepts the guilt of what he has done and fully gives into like the reality of like what he has done. And then the parole officer sees it and it's like, there you go. Like, you've shown true regret, and
Mm-hmm.
you have actually rightfully atoned. You've felt real guilt about this, and you have not come in here and just said you were reformed. Now you are actually reformed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's, I look at it like that.
Well, that's like he's taking the plunge, you know? He's immersing himself in this thing that he's like repressed, basically.
Yeah. Which
he's taking a leap.
He is taking a leap. I do think that, granted, basically, as soon as Andy leaves, everything with Red is him taking these continual leaps of faith and him trying to, as Jules in Pulp Fiction says, walk the path of the righteous man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying real hard. Love that line.
Real hard to double bag them groceries.
Damn right. Oh. Also, that is such a crummy job for him. For like a 60-70-year-old con on the way out, just being a
grocery bagger.
Grocery bagger. Because that is a dead-end job if there ever was. No offense to any grocery baggers here, but if you're in your mid-70s and you're bagging groceries, that's a rough
You better
go.
be already retired and only bagging groceries to get out the house.
Yeah. Or like, you know, I'm retired, but yeah, pays the electric bill. Yeah, whatever, I work part-time. Fine. But, like, that's a rough go.
That is a rough go.
So, yeah, Randy. The Shawshank Redemption. Is it time to get to the final question?
Man, I feel like the more we talked about it, the more it's picking up.
It's
probably my top 5 now.
Really? Strong.
I mean,
I don't begrudge it, like, at all. I think this movie is fantastic. It's one of those things where, for me, I think it's really good. Top 10 material? I could see it. Top 5? I don't know. Like, honestly, I look at Silence of the Lambs and I look at that as top 5 material.
But I just love the juice to this movie. You know, you bite into it and more comes out of it.
Yeah, that's true. It's one of those things where you bite into Silence of the Lambs, it's sweeter, but it's not as juicy. Where this, it's like, it's juicy, but it's not as sweet.
Yeah, I mean, like, biting into Silence of the Lambs is like some prepackaged hamburger. You know, you bite into it, and that's all you get. You know, there's not juice squirting everywhere, you know?
It's a little bit better than prepackaged, all right?
Well, but I'm saying, like, it's good, right? Like, everything about it's fine. But, I mean, this movie, though, it's like you went to the Heart Attack Grill, and you bite into that fucker, it goes everywhere.
Yes, yes. But... yes, because this is, God, number 72 on the list.
Yeah, the movie's kind of picking up in quality here.
Yeah, which is really good, because I remember we had that,
we had a little streak a while back.
Of all these movies being like, well, they're good, but they're not, you know.
Yeah, having little things about them that were like,
Like, masterpieces, I don't know,
Exactly.
This is fine.
But, yeah, getting a quarter of the movie's down now.
Yeah, actually, we're almost going to close in on a third very soon.
Yeah, just a little bit here.
Yeah, but I guess your thought, because it's probably pretty obvious at this point. Up, down, over, out. You're saying hard on, up.
Hard on up. I mean, I don't know what's ahead of us here. That, like, how it's going to compare, you know, because a lot of these movies I haven't seen. I mean, I haven't even seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've actually never seen it.
Have you really?
Yeah, no. Like
Oh,
I saw, like I
God.
looked over at the list and I'm like, yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I like, American Graffiti, Cabaret, Network, African Queen, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Unforgiven, Tootsie, I've seen Saving Private Ryan.
You damn well seen Saving Private Ryan.
Well, just out of like those movies, I haven't seen any of those movies. The next two movies we're gonna watch, I've seen Saving Private Ryan and Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
But what is that, like 8 after that? Haven't seen. Half of them, I have no idea what they're about.
That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be real interesting. But I guess as it stands now, I would agree with you. I think Shawshank Redemption definitely earns its placing here.
Definitely.
It's one of those things where it's just like once we do our little milestone ranking thing shuffle.
Yes.
And it's also the other thing where I kind of like us doing these little milestone things every 10 movies, because reevaluating these as we go on really helps kind of put these in perspective.
Some of them have gotten a little better with age, and some of them have gotten a little worse, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and then it's also like movies with sticking power are always better.
Yeah.
But next week, it is time, Randy. You must reconcile with the movie that was your favorite movie for your entire childhood.
It's kind of a strange movie to have as your favorite movie in your childhood, Saving Private Ryan. But it definitely was.
Yes.
As a small child, I definitely wanted to be Mr. Army Man.
We watched Saving Private Ryan how many times as kids?
Oh God, I must have seen it at least 20 times when I was a kid.
Easily.
I'm pretty conservative on like my estimates because I know I didn't like watch.
It was Normandy Beach, and then you kind of drifted in after the rest of it.
And then I probably go into the other room like half the time, or just like it's on the TV while I'm doing something else. Like when I was a kid, it's just like it was Saving Private Ryan. I heckin' loved the movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, and
we'll see if it is as good as. Oh man, I am not looking forward to this. I'm just
serious?
I'm really hoping it's everything that my mind's eye cracks it up to be, because I'm having my doubts. I'm like, oh please, like.
Is this the one you're just like I'm not a pious man, but I will pray that that the Saving Private Ryan holds up.
I'm sure it will, but it's just like I have that like nagging feeling that I'm gonna watch it and be like, nah, it ain't it, Chief. It's not it anymore.
Well, the biggest thing about it, Randy, is it's our first Steven Spielberg. The first of 5 Spielberg films on this list.
First of 5 Bergs.
First of 5 Spielbergs, which, I mean, Saving Private Ryan, I'm kind of excited to see this one. I've seen it before pretty recently for another podcast, but it was a long time ago, and I remember very good. Really, really enjoyed it. I think it did hold up pretty well. But I'm really excited to see how you view it, because that is going to be the cornerstone of that episode.
It's going to be my thoughts on the movie, because I would in the past have considered myself somewhat of a World War II history buff, and all these different kinds of things.
This was the reason you were so into the Call of Duty games for so long.
Yes, and like part of the reason why I was and still am like very into like history. So yeah,
Randy looks back in his past, and so much was shaped by Saving
Private Ryan. And well, that's half the reason that I liked history so much, and the other half is Rome Total War,
namely Gladiator.
No, not Gladiator. I don't watch Gladiator.
How did you not watch Gladiator?
Man, no, it's about Rome Total War, dog.
Because this land is Roman.
This land is Roman.
But
conquered.
If you want to see Randy play through Rome Total War this weekend on Twitch,
God.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, right.
But if you did want to listen to the episode next week, you can check us out on basically everywhere you can get your podcast. Spotify, Google Podcasts, so on and so forth. You can also find us at our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. Used to be In the Frame. It is now The Film Vault. On YouTube, show up, subscribe, talk, comment, do whatever you want. It's a lot of fun.
Especially comment, because I want to read what people think about us. It sounds hilarious.
Yes. The last one I saw was, man, this is awful. And I was like, thank you.
I'm like, why did you respond to that? I'm over here being like, you should have been like, damn right.
Awful and proud.
Awful and proud.
But yeah, so I'm excited for next week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But Randy, any last words? get busy podcasting or get busy uploading.
God, that is so awful. What is wrong?
I am here.
I'm
Randy,
outta
awful
here.
and proud of
Oh,
it.
God.
Have a good week, everybody.